Mozart.
He was a genius, the most important musician. Half German, half Austrian, is that right? Wasn't he poisoned?
Who is the figure behind these cliches with whom people have endlessly been preoccupied for well over 200 years? Who is this man? What is the secret of his fame? These are questions to which not even an anniversary year with mega Mozart programs and countless new interpretations about the genius and child prodigy will be able to provide any satisfactory answers. And after the anniversary year, that we can be sure of, the myths will still be in the majority compared with what we really know.
I really don't know how Mozart as a person, because even you read it or the letters, you can get a little bit, but if you don't see the composers in person, you don't really know what he really like. But through music, somehow you get kind of the feelings, because when he composed it as a pianist or as we're making music, and then you kind of feel it when you play some pieces like I don't know Mozart, but here I think he's a little bit lonely and kind of looking forward to meet someone. I'm not so sure.
What is it within the music that fascinates people from all sorts of different backgrounds?
Per vista fare preparar, se tu piaccia qualche ragazza, te con quella cerca menar, senza colore d'andata sia, chi il minuetto, chi la follia, chi la ne manda, fai la ballare, chi il minuetto, fai la ballare, chi la follia, fai la ballare, chi la ne manda, fai la ballare, e il frattanto dall'altro canto, con questi bella moreggia, domattina donna decina devi aumentar, alla melissa donna decina devi aumentar, senza piazza qualche ragazza quella cerca in alla melissa domattina donna decina devi aumentar, senza colore d'altra sia, chi il minuetto, chi la follia, chi la demanda fai la ballare. Alla melissa domattina donna decina devi aumentar, donna decina devi aumentar, donna decina.
Each image of Mozart so carefully created over the centuries bears an essential statement of its time. The favorite of the gods in the Romantic period, the psychoanalytical Mozart of the past century. People always knew who Wolfgang was.
I think it is arrogant to believe you know everything. And I think we need more humility when it comes to Mozart. Why is it that a chord by Mozart looks exactly the same on paper as one by Salieri, but sounds so much more magnificent? Why? That is a question I cannot answer.
Das ist eine Frage, die ich nicht beantworten kann.
An attempt to approach Mozart via musical games with numbers. Die Zauberflöte contains at least 10 catchy tunes. Don Giovanni probably over 5. Figaro certainly 8. If we then add the symphonies, we can conclude that Mozart composed a total of about 64. The facts. Johannes Chrysostomus Wolfgangus Theophilus Mozart was born on January the 27th, 1756, as the last child of Anna Maria and Leopold Mozart in Salzburg. It was a difficult birth. Already in the first months of his life, the child was described as being rather weak and vulnerable to frequent illness. He was not breastfed, instead he was given rye soup. It was not usual for babies to be breastfed, consequently they were undernourished, and this was the main reason for the high rate of infant mortality. The Mozart family. Who were they? They lived in what has become perhaps the most famous house in Austria, in the Getreidegasse in Salzburg. Leopold and Anna Mozart originally had 7 children, but only 2 survived. Mozart's sister, Maria Anna, was 5 years older than Wolfgang, and in the family she was known as Nanny. The mother was regarded as a great beauty, the father highly educated, Nanno extremely talented musically. Undoubtedly, it was a faultless family that little Wolfgang was born into. Yes, and the dog Pimple, the family's fox terrier. Allegedly, he was able to dance to the sound of the harpsichord. Sister Maria Anna's memories of her brother's childhood.
He loved his parents dearly, especially his father, and he composed a melody that he sang to them every day before he went to bed. His father had to stand him on a chair for this, and when this ritual was over, it could not be missed on any day, he kissed his father tenderly and then calmly and contentedly went to bed.
There is hardly anyone about whom we know so much as Mozart, and at the same time, we know absolutely nothing about him. His biography and his art are incompatible. They do not go together. In my opinion, the composer Mozart was never a child. That's how I see things. As for me, Mozart the composer is unearthly. I do not consider him to be light and joyful and refreshing, but I find him unearthly. It is something you just cannot conceive.
What does it mean never to have been a child, but also never to be a mature adult if one dies at the age of 35? Is it an intermediate world, inaccessible for us, where Mozart existed? Again, these are merely assumptions, but what else can one say about Mozart?
Ich fühle mich völlig unfähig, darüber zu sprechen.
I feel completely incapable of speaking about it. So much has been said and written about Mozart, and I think that no opinion can ever get close to a tiny drop of his way of conveying important life experiences in music.
Von dieser Art und Weise, also wesentliche Erlebnisse vom Leben in Musik zu bringen, aber mit
But with this strength, lightness, and the flow in the structure,
leichte und fließende
it is simply indescribable.
Ist unbeschreiblich, also.
Leopold Mozart to his friend Hagenau in Salzburg.
But we are honorable men who proclaim that in honor of their prince and their fatherland, a miracle was allowed by God to be born in Salzburg. I owe this act to Almighty God. Otherwise, I would be the most ungrateful creature.
Well, I would say that I have great admiration and respect for his father, because even though he exploited the child, it made him a lot of money. This is the reason why, when he came back to Salzburg, after traveling to Italy, that he was able to move from his birth house to the lovely house on Markartplatz, where after all they had a small concert salon, the Dancing Masters Hall. So that brought him money. Yet, at the same time, in spite of everything, one has to say that this exploitation of the child Mozart was incredibly important for him. Without these journeys they took, Mozart would not have become the man he did. In other words, it was actually a wonderful relationship. This kind of love-hate relationship is the nicest kind.